Good evening, everyone. I am Karen. I'm founder of Blomma Beauty, and this is the first of 3 live streams we've organised to help celebrate Organic September. For those of you that don't know, Organic September is a month-long celebration of everything organic, from farming to food and, of course, organic beauty and well-being. So we're going to be sharing with you over the next 3 weeks how nature has the answer in terms of the benefits organic skincare ingredients can have on your skin, how going organic can help your well-being. But tonight's topic is all about how switching to an organic beauty regime can have great sustainable benefits. So we're going to hear from our experts on why organic beauty and sustainability go hand in hand, and how organically certified products also come with some serious sustainable credentials, and also how you can carry this forward as well with how you buy, use and dispose of your products consciously. So tell us in the comments if you already use organic beauty products, or if you're just discovering us for the first time and the brands that we stock and making the switch this September. And then we can also tailor our chat to you tonight as well. So if you've got questions along the way, then pop them in the comments and we'll be sure to answer them for you. So tonight we're going to go all the way from the soil to our skin and a little bit beyond. And I've got 3 incredible experts joining us tonight. So let me introduce them. So here we have, oh, 1 second. Wrong screen. Here we all are now. So first we have Fiona Campbell, who's joining us tonight from the Soil Association. And Fiona is a Senior Business Development Manager. So she works with all of the beauty and wellbeing certified beauty brands, including all of the ones that are stocked on blommabeauty.com. And she comes with tons of beauty experience to help support the brands on their journey through certification and beyond. And we're really happy to have her here tonight for not only her first Organic September, but her first ever live stream. So we'll be kind and welcome, Fiona.
Thanks. I'm excited. This is my first live stream.
I'm excited to have you here, and yeah, we'll show you the way. The 3 of us have done a few of these before, so yeah, we'll be kind. And then yeah, the other 2 panelists as well. I'm sure a few of you, if you've tuned into any of our live streams before or joined us at our in real life events, which hopefully we'll be getting back to soon, you might recognise them. We've got Emma from True Skincare, and she founded the brand because she's got such a passion for making organic beauty accessible to everyone, no matter what your budget, and helping you to access the wonderful benefits that organic ingredients can have for your skin. Hi, Emma.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. Really excited.
Me too. I think it's going to be a great conversation tonight. And then last but not least, we've got Lucia Mencarelli. She's the founder of Casa Mencarelli, and Lucia uses really antioxidant rich organic ingredients in her formulations, which you can all use in lots of different ways. So they're very multitasking, and that means that they're really going to help benefit your skin, but also help you kind of consume less and make the most out of those products. Hi, Lucia.
Hello, so thank you very much for having me, and love Organic September.
Me too. It's been a great month so far, but this week is Organic Beauty and Wellbeing Week, so it's definitely got a huge beauty focus. Fiona, do you want to kick us off with explaining who you are, what you do in a bit more detail, and maybe tell us a bit more about Organic September as well?
Yeah, so I'm Fiona. I'm the Senior Business Development Manager at the Soil Association. So I'm new to the Soil Association. This is my first Organic September, which is really exciting. I've worked in the beauty industry for just over 8 years in various product development and senior buyer roles, and I'm really excited to be working on something that I personally feel massively invested in and see it's truly where the innovation kind of lies within the industry and is the future for beauty. Organic September, and specifically this week, Organic Beauty and Wellbeing Week, is all about celebrating our beauty and well-being brands, getting the messages out there that even just one small swap can really make a difference in terms of changing up things up in your makeup bag, looking in your cupboards at home, for any of your kind of well-being or personal care products. So as you're coming to an end, you know, what kind of more sustainable choices can you make? What more one small swaps can you make for Organic September?
Fab. Well, hopefully we've got a few people watching tonight that are intending to make some swaps, and we can kind of help advise them throughout the talk this evening, particularly on changing up the sustainable credentials. So yeah, thank you for joining us. And Emma, can you tell us a bit more about the True story, and what you're maybe most excited to share with our viewers tonight?
Sure. My name is Emma Thornton. I'm the founder and owner of True Skincare. True Skincare is a certified organic, vegan-friendly, natural and waterless skincare brand, which prides itself on being efficacious but also affordable, without compromising on the ethical standpoint of the brand either. So organic, before I even started the brand, it was imperative for me to ensure that we were certified as organic, because we'll come on to it later, but there's very little legislation in the UK and globally as to what can classify as natural and organic. So it was so important for me to be able to kind of ensure that our customers could trust in it just by looking for the logo and know what we're saying was true. My background, I used to head up the marketing for some very well-known high price point brands, and I just kind of felt that due to this very little legislation, but also down to the price points that these brands were trying to charge at, I just didn't see the necessity with regards to that. So people should always be able to afford natural and organic beauty, which is why our price points are so affordable, because we have made a conscious decision to reduce our profits without compromising on the elegance or efficacy standpoint.
That's a great mission to have, I think, and you're absolutely right, particularly in the mainstream industry. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors about how much products actually cost to make, and I think you're definitely tearing up the rule book on that one. And Lucia, tell us a little bit more about Casa Mencarelli and why you believe that choosing organic beauty products is a more sustainable choice.
Yeah. My brand is obviously certified organic because I wanted the best standard for my brand. I'm very, keen on very clean ingredients, because I had a terrible experience with cosmetics, and I had actually anaphylactic shock from a body lotion, which changed my life because it made me reacting to anything synthetic, from obviously cosmetics to paint and carpet and anything, just because the same synthetic ingredients are everywhere. So, for me it was clean, organic certified, checked by myself, but also by an external body, and sustainable, because we want to be good to ourselves, but we also want to be good to the planet and live in harmony with what's around us. And my choice was not to use essential oils, because I became so sensitive that I'm now sensitive also to essential oil, because they have some components that can be irritating for the skin or for the lungs. So choice of obviously clean packaging with very low impact on the environment. So that was the point, being healthy for the skin, making us happier, and also healthy for the environment, in respect with what's around us.
Great. And Fiona, maybe let's go to the other side of the table from a brand perspective, but from the Soil Association's perspective, why do you put sustainability at the heart of the kind of certification, as well as the kind of organic aspects?
Yeah, so I guess the Soil Association Cosmos organic standards, sustainability is at the heart of them, and that goes from the ingredients, so making sure that the raw materials and the ingredients sourced aren't genetically modified, that they're farmed without using pesticides, right through to the packaging, so making sure that the packaging standards meet Soil Association and Cosmos standards and are sustainable as well, and making sure that the ingredients that we source are also responsibly sourced. So palm oil, for example, within our standards has to be certified to come from sustainable sources. So it's really important to us, and it's not just a kind of tag on in terms of the Soil Association strategy. It's at the heart of the Soil Association and always has been from when it was originally founded and set up in the 40s as the charity side, and then the certification side that was set up in the 70s.
Great. And we've already had a ton of questions, which is fantastic. But there's one which I'll put to you now, Fiona, because it kind of relates to what you were saying about particular ingredients. But just going off Lucia's comment about essential oils, you can battle out who answers it. But are there any common, Chantal's asking, are there any common essential oils or ingredients that are found in most cosmetics that people are surprisingly not sustainable? So I mean, you said palm oil is used in everything from like the sweets we eat to, you know, maybe a cleansing balm or something like that, and not everyone knows that it's not a sustainable crop. But Chantal says maybe, for example, rosewood or almond oil. But are there any other ingredients that are maybe common in cosmetics but aren't super sustainable?
Oh, Lucia, do you want to talk about oils from your side?
Yeah, sure. We already mentioned palm oil, but if we talk about essential oils, there are some which are very rare and very expensive, which are becoming even more rare. For example, some resins and rosewood, as they already mentioned. But you know, whatever is coming from the trees, like resins, that's very, how do you say, endangering, because you know, obviously the price goes up. So you know, when you see something that contains some suspect ingredient, the best you can do is Google it, because then you'll find articles and people who talk about this. And so regarding essential oils, because they are super concentrated, you need loads, you know, huge amounts of raw ingredients to make something, you know, be like one drop. You know, for one drop of essential oil, maybe you need 50 kilos of, you know, the raw material. So it's very concentrated. It's for me, well, okay, it smells nice, but you know, it's not the smell that's good to your skin or to your skin condition, but it's what other ingredients are, you know, in there. So yeah, there are a few, and obviously they're changing all the time, because when the price goes up, then people is more incentivized to get those materials, because you know, they get more money. So you know, it's many times all about the money, and not looking at how the material is sourced and how much of the material is left. So that's why, you know, with the Soil Association, you have a kind of protection, because they keep into account this kind of problematic as well.
Great, I love that answer. And I think it's not necessarily an ingredient which people think of as an ingredient, but I know that Emma's super passionate about this. It's water, and almost maybe the water, I think it's called virtual water, where you're not aware of it being present in either the harvesting or the manufacturing process, or even water being used as a filler for products. And as you said at the beginning, Emma, all of your products are waterless. So tell us a bit more about why you decided to add that element into your range, that there's nothing containing water in it.
Sure. So just to quickly follow on from the previous question, with regards to sustainability and various ingredients, there are ingredients out there which, such as glycerin, for example, where it's listed as glycerin on the INCI list, but you don't actually know how it's derived. So glycerin is typically derived from vegetables, but a lot of glycerin is derived from palm oil. And so you won't actually know the traceability behind it unless the brand is being completely transparent about where that glycerin has been harvested from. And it's the same as I think the viewer mentioned about almond oil, like the amount of water that is used in growing almonds is just extortionate. And again, with, for example, like pineapple, it takes years and years and years to grow one pineapple.
Yeah, I've had a pineapple plant before and it stayed about this big before it gave up the ghost.
Exactly. So. That's why, I mean, last year, maybe 2 years ago, I worked with a distributor who actually sold pineapple, and there was just a pineapple shortage. It was crazy, but we have chosen to go waterless. So in a typical moisturizer, up to about 80% of the formulation will be water. It's obviously a very cheap ingredient. Technically, it's free, and it's used as a bulking agent, but it also contributes to the texture, which we've all become very accustomed to, so creams, serums, etc. However, when obviously using water in your manufacturing process, it's not only in the formulation, but it's also goes way back, to the cleaning, to how the ingredients are grown. So there's a huge traceability element there, and a lot of brands that also claim to be waterless request that, or it's a requirement that you have to use water on the consumer end. So it might be like a cleansing oil which emulsifies when you add water and it turns into a milk. That to me is technically pointless. Just because you're saying that we're a waterless brand, but you have to add water on the other end, it completely defeats the point. So we've chosen to be waterless in terms of our formulation. So the global cosmetic industry uses enough water every year to fill up Lake Tahoe, and that is billions of litres of water every year. And from the latest Soil Association Cosmos report, 27% of consumers are looking to reuse or use less water, which is such a positive statistic to see, because people are consciously looking at ways to reduce their water consumption. And it's not just about reducing their shower time or having showers rather than baths, etc. It goes into everything in day-to-day life. And when it comes to the actual skin health, so consuming water contributes to the function of your organs, and obviously our skin is the biggest organ, so it allows our skin to function properly. However, when applying water topically, the benefits towards the skin are actually very minimal. It doesn't hydrate your skin in any way. It actually can increase the molecular weight. So it's not just an environmental element, but it's also a skin benefiting element that we've chosen to go entirely waterless.
Great.
That's the short answer.
Fantastic facts there, Emma, as always. Like the Lake Tahoe one, it's just astounding. And I know there's other huge facts as well about the beauty industry and how much, trees it consumes every year and all sorts of things. So we have to, realise we're in the game of helping us look and feel really well, but there are consequences and there are impacts to the environment. So yeah, I think if we just talk about ingredients more generally for a moment, Fiona, what sort of sustainable requirements do you have to uphold if you're going to get the organic certification for your beauty products?
So all of the brands that certify with us certified to the Soil Association Cosmos standards, and the Cosmos standards are international standards that we work together with other certifying bodies to create, that really set in place a standard for organic beauty, which sounds really simple, but actually, as kind of Emma touched on earlier, in the unregulated beauty market, that's a massive step forward. So those regulations specify what kind of ingredients you can use. So for organic beauty products, the colours are not synthetic and the fragrances aren't synthetic, so they're all from natural sources. So the ingredients are biodegradable, so much better for the soil. And then the things that you can't use, the ingredients to avoid and that are prohibited in the standards. So parabens and phthalates, toxins, and also all of all of the ingredients can't be tested on animals. That's a really important part of our standard as well. So everything is cruelty-free. So any brands that are certified with the Soil Association and with Cosmos are 100% cruelty-free.
Great. And we've got a specific question on your standard and your ingredients are from Faith. She'd like to know how you decide which preservatives are okay to use. Some people are sensitive to things like preservatives, which some are still available in organic products. I know preservatives can be a bit of a contentious issue, but is there any kind of logic or reasoning behind how you decide which preservatives are okay and which are not?
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of the Cosmos process and how it works, so all of the certifiers within Cosmos and all of their policy and standards, people all discuss which ingredients are going to be included in the standards, and it's actually something that's regularly reviewed and looked at. So they're actually working on the new version of standards and continuously reviewed. So things are reviewed in terms of the science, but also what's in terms of the press and what's been deemed a kind of controversial ingredient. I think the discussions we've already had on palm oil are quite interesting because there's lots of noise around palm oil, lots of talk within the beauty industry, but then actually understanding what kind of ingredient it is. Actually, if it's sourced in a sustainable way, it's better than some ingredients because you can farm it much more efficiently, and it's much more efficient per hectare than some more endangered and rare ingredients. So there is a complex process in terms of setting the standards, and it's calculated with lots of scientists and lots of people that work and lobbyists within beauty as well, not just from the UK but internationally as well. So yeah, lots of controversial things about parabens.
I think as well, I mean, from a consumer standpoint, from a retailer standpoint, from a formulator standpoint, there is this constant balancing act of how you decide what's the right thing to support or not support, particularly with sustainability, but then also efficacy and then biodiversity. There's lots of facets to the sustainability question. But Lucia, you as a formulator, how do you kind of decide which ingredients are going to make the cut in your formulations and which are not? And does it come down to a sustainability question often?
Yeah, health first of all. But if we talk about preservatives, I'm very strong on this, so I'm very sympathetic with Faye. I think she raised the question. Because having become so sensitive to everything, I discovered that one of the preservatives that are approved by the Soil Association, unfortunately, are very allergenic. And this is benzyl alcohol, benzoic acid, something like that, and sodium benzoate, anything that's benz. So what does it do to me, and why I don't use it? So as soon as I get the parcel of the preservative, which is sealed jar and sealed parcel, I start to feel sick, meaning I feel a big pain in my lungs and I start to get difficulty in breathing. And then I discovered, because it's one of the components, that's benzyl or benzoin, which is also in some of the essential oils, that's very allergenic. So I don't use this one, although it's a very easy and very cheap one, and it's broad spectrum. But I work with other preservatives which are made from fruit acids or probiotics. So probiotics are good, but they need more work for formulation, more work for laboratory checkings, and for stability testing, and they need to pass the challenge test. So they are more expensive for the brand to try, but they are more beneficial for the customer. So always look at the ingredient, and if you think you are sensitive, either with your skin or with your lungs, especially if you have asthma, look for anything that's benzyl, benzoic, benz.
Okay, great. And then, Emma, from a sourcing perspective, what sort of what's the process of making sure that the ingredients you're sourcing are sustainable? How do you know that they are, and sort of what checks do you make along the way?
So I source all the ingredients myself from various places. Obviously, they all have to be Cosmos approved, and we're currently working with one at the moment to ensure that it is Cosmos approved before using it. But also the sustainability elements. So it's not just the ingredient that we're using, but also what happens to the byproduct of the plant and how it's processed, etc. So we get all of that in basically a sheet, a document, which says how everything is being used beyond just the ingredient that we use ourselves. With the ingredient that I just mentioned that we're in the process of trying to get Cosmos approved, it is not only waterless in terms of the actual ingredient, but the whole process, the extraction process is waterless as well, but it allows us to create textures which we've become accustomed to, which I've already mentioned earlier, whilst having skin benefiting ingredients. I also have to add that it's now become actually illegal to say that things are paraben free or fragrance free or preservative free, or doesn't include chemicals, because technically everything has one of those elements. So our oils, for example, they don't have any added preservatives or synthetic preservatives, but they are a preservative in themselves. They're just oils, but they have a 3-year shelf life. And also when it comes to preservatives, it's also really important to remember that if you don't have preservatives in there and it's a water-based product, the effects of not having the preservative in there can be far more disastrous than having a natural preservative or a Cosmos approved preservative. It can cause serious health damages. So I think there's been a lot of negativity around preservation, but you have to make sure that everything is challenge tested. And again, even so when we have things challenge tested, so typically actually all challenge testing is typically done through bovine gel. So that obviously isn't vegan, so we actually have vegan sure testing with our challenge testing to make sure that even the gel is vegan friendly. So literally everything going all the way through our supply chain, I check. I just don't want to compromise on anything.
Absolutely.
If we're saying that we're vegan, then we will be vegan throughout the supply chain. And the same with our waterless aspect and our organic as well. But yeah, basically all of our suppliers, no matter where they come from, whether it's ingredients, whether it's testing, etc., they have to come through me and pass my test. So
You're the muscle of True Skincare.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I'm on to the Soil Association basically every week with some queries. So
I suppose that's the thing, like, because there's such a lack of regulation, you don't know necessarily all the answers, but as consumers, they've got to rely on the brands being so passionate about it and doing all of that hard work. And I think you make a really interesting point of you can't say it's free from this and free from that. And I think the natural and organic world has kind of evolved as a counterweight to maybe the synthetic beauty industry, and so people are trying to pitch their products against that, whether it's maybe toxins or chemical. Everything's a chemical, but I think we need to start championing what's in the products. Like, organic ingredients are just so fantastic on their own, regardless of if they are synthetic or not. I think we just need to maybe have a little bit more of a positive slant on the power of these ingredients from nature that have been used for centuries, and there's a reason for that. So I digress. I got a bit excited there, but
absolutely, because even organic ingredients and through the whole farming process, it's not just about not using pesticides, but the amount of carbon emission, carbon that they store in the soil through organic farming. That it helps to balance out the amount of carbon emissions that we're as humans, we're creating in the world. So
yeah, we're going full circle by choosing organic beauty. We're helping out. Lucia, let's talk about manufacturing. So we talked about how we're sourcing the ingredients, but once we've got those raw ingredients, what do you need to consider when you're going to formulate your products, and how sustainable a process that is?
Yeah. So as Emma was mentioning, trying to save time, trying to save distances, and save water, save resources. So what we do, we use a very small manufacturing, which is a social enterprise, and they send all their profit to a small village in Ghana. So they do, whatever is the profit of the year, they donate this money to the village, and they decide themselves what they're doing with the money. So, it's, how do you say, you try to save on the bad things and you try to enhance the good things, no? So that's healthy products for the customers and healthy rewards for the people around the business. We also don't use emulsions in our, well, we don't have emulsions in our products. So out of 5, 4 of our products are waterless. And we also believe that, you don't need water to fill the products. And also, if you work with oils and butters, you have more nutritious products for your skin. And you don't buy 80% water, which is an emulsion. So it's like more sustainable for the environment and for the customer as well. So when we order ingredients, we try to group everything within 2 or 3 suppliers, so that it's one shipment of ingredients, nearly everything going to the manufacturing. So we try to save this way, and also we always check the credential of the farmer, or where the ingredient is coming from, because especially for my brand, it's like Mediterranean, so I'm choosing ingredients which are typical Mediterranean, and also the packaging reflects a bit, like the colors and the taste of the Mediterranean. And so, we think, we don't want to go and get ingredients from Brazil or from, I don't know, Indonesia, let's say. We prefer everything around the Mediterranean area because it's very sunny and rich of fabulous ingredients, and we don't want to go and look for exotic ingredients which have the same properties and benefits on skin than other ingredients which are more familiar and with which we are more familiar with. So yeah, checking all the little bits and making sure that the product is healthy, is good for the skin, and is also made with heart, trying to save the planet, trying to reduce CO2 emissions by traveling or not traveling, trying to avoid what's not necessary. So, just go with what's necessary, saving money, saving waste. So no waste, or as little as possible, and as much recycling and sustainability as possible.
Great. And Fiona, how do you check and make sure all of this is happening? Because there's, aside from the brands that have the organic certification, there's lots of brands out there that are saying, I'm sustainable, I'm vegan, I'm organic. The ones that are certified, how do you check up on them every year to make sure that they're continuing to uphold the rules of the certification?
Yeah, so we have a team within the beauty team, so we have a team of certification officers, so they check all of the ingredients of each product, every formulation, that these products comply with the Cosmos regulations. They also look at the packaging, so check that the packaging complies with the regulations, and also check that the labels aren't making any claims that can't be substantiated, so trying to be as transparent as possible for the customer. And this is, they also work with brands to put in place environmental manufacturing plans. So on those plans, it can go from and look at what cleaning materials are used to clean the machines with that the products are made with, making sure that no electricity is wasted whilst making those products, that a minimal amount of water is wasted. And then the final kind of stages within the certification process is that we actually have an independent inspector that goes out to manufacturers to check those details. So they'll look through the environmental plans and they'll look through all the paperwork to independently certify and corroborate. So it's a very detailed process. And it's really important for us that it is really detailed, because our brands that we work with and our licensees work hard on their brands, and the Soil Association Cosmos logo is really credible to customers, so they know that we've put in the hard work and customers know we've put in the hard work, and when they look for that, they really know that it's credible.
Yeah, I think that's the sustainability angle. I think is actually, if I can say something a bit controversial, is pretty undersold. When people see the Soil Association logo, particularly on food, I guess, they think, oh, that means it's organic. That's good. But there's so many other facets to it, the sustainability, fair trade, being ethical, that I think people don't realise goes into the process of certification. So it's really something that's such a strong stamp of approval for any beauty product to have, which I think is fantastic. I think we've gone quite in depth on before it even hits our shelves or our websites or even our skin. I think we'll move on now to packaging, which I know is a pretty hot topic. So I think we should maybe just talk about, from the Soil Association perspective, what are the sustainability credentials of your packaging requirements? Because again, you've got lots of rules and regulations on that too.
Yeah, so within the Soil Association Cosmos standards for packaging, I guess the first steps for us is really to minimise what packaging there are. So coming from a product development background, there's none of this, the tube is larger than the fill to make it look bigger to the customers. There's no extra sleeves that aren't required. So the first step is minimising the amount of packaging, then making sure that the amount of packaging that is used is recyclable. Within the standards, there's the types of packaging that can't be used, so there's no PVC, there's no chlorinated plastics. There's also no packaging that comes from any genetically modified sources. And then finally, there's no leather or silk, so packaging from animal sources either that's used. So quite detailed packaging regulations. And as you kind of said, I think it is something that I didn't really appreciate before I joined the Soil Association, that it isn't just about the ingredients. We do have sets of standards for packaging and throughout the process in terms of sustainability. So,
Chantal's got another very interesting question. Is metal packaging really plastic free? Is metal not lined with BPA? Does anyone know the answer to that? No.
Anyone want to? Lucia?
Yeah, Lucia looks like she's going.
Yeah. Sorry, just because I am for no plastic, and so I've chosen glass packaging and then metal caps or lids. The trick is that, yes, unfortunately, inside they have to contain a little bit of plastic. That's because the product shouldn't be too much in contact directly with metal. So you will have noticed that every time you buy some kind of cosmetics, actually there is a bit of plastic, either like a dish, if you buy an emulsion, there is something in there. So unfortunately, yes, there are some other, there is some experimenting around, making the jar just wood, but then you need to deal with the, the product will run off much quicker. So, you need kind of reasonable sealing, also for hygienic purposes, especially now that, we're kind of paranoid with hygiene. And so, you need that little bit of plastic, unfortunately. But what I can say is that the Soil Association checks everything into detail. And so every time the packaging is changing, we need to provide information on what exactly the material throughout. So, it's the metal, it's the little bit of plastic, and everything much in detail. So we can assure you that all the brands are doing their very best to minimize packaging, to minimize what's not essential, and to make everything as eco as possible.
Yeah, again, it's that balancing act, because I think you said it earlier, Lucia, like your health is the number one kind of criteria, and then everything else kind of falls into place after that. And I think that is the same for the Soil Association, where, you know, what's actually going on to your skin and how it's kept has got to be as hygienic as possible, because Emma said earlier, like, you can have really severe health impact by using products that have, you know, been exposed to bacteria or develop, you know, mold or fungus or anything like that, which they can do if they're not kind of packaged properly. So I guess let's go to you, Emma. How, as a brand, do you choose your packaging? It must be quite a difficult one to decide between the hygiene factor and the sustainability factor.
Yeah, so similar to Lucia, all of our packaging is glass and card wherever possible. We do have to use some plastic, but we're constantly looking at ways to reduce that. I think there's so much complexity around packaging. Obviously, plastic has got a really bad rep at the moment, and it is having a very severe impact on our environment, but it's down to how we use it, and how we are being so flippant with regards to throwing it away, etc. We obviously we use glass, which I've already mentioned, and we're trying to offset the emissions created by creating glass through a tree planting sustainability initiative, so that we can become carbon neutral. And also, wherever possible, although it's great to source ingredients as locally as possible, there's also the element of if you get things flown in, it's much worse for the environment than getting it shipped in. So that's just something really to be aware of. But also just like, you know, upcycling your packaging, whether you can do, I would absolutely love to do refillable packaging. But being, you know, a one-man band and trying to figure out how to do that and not compromise on the hygiene factor, particularly moment, and you know, everything has to be batch coded correctly, so when you see all these refillable elements in store, you know, there's a lot of complexity that comes behind that, but yeah, as Alicia said, the Soil Association are very rigorous with regards to checking all of our different elements that go into our packaging, and making sure that we are being as sustainable as possible. You know, we're due to launch on an airline, and they require everything to be cello wrapped. We sourced completely 100% compostable cello wrap, and put stickers all over it saying, please make sure that you kind of put me on the compost heap, not in the bin. So obviously things being what they are, that hasn't gone ahead yet, but yeah, everything, you know, there's just so much complexity, even down to, we see a lot of things about sugarcane plastic going on, but actually, although it is sourced from a natural derivative, the time it takes to decompose is actually essentially the same as plastic, what we know as standard plastic. So
yeah, I think
there's a lot of complexity.
It's longer to decompose, but it's easier to recycle. So in some ways it's more circular, but in other ways, if you're not disposing of it properly, then and that's the impact.
You know, it is absolutely down to everyone chipping in where they can at every part in the process.
Yeah. And being as informed as possible, because if we don't know how to do something or what we should be doing, then it's less likely that we're going to do it. So yeah, I think in beauty it's quite difficult to know how to dispose of your products, or it's maybe something that people don't really think about. Fiona, is there stuff that we should be looking for on our products to know how to dispose of them properly?
Well, there is the recycling logos on products that you should look at, and I guess some of the challenges with all of the recycling is it's just so specific to your local council what they can take. But then I think there's some amazing initiatives going on within the wider beauty industry at the moment on packaging. So I think it's great that Maybelline have launched the recycling bins in stores. So there's lots of things going on with TerraCycle and Loop as well, in terms of increasing points for you to be able to take packaging into stores to recycle. And it's great to see that some of the A brands and the bigger brands are also working on new initiatives, as well as the smaller brands that we work with. So, because I think, as we've talked about on lots of these issues, like, it's not about necessarily perfection, it's about progress. And beauty is an amazing industry because it's constantly innovating and changing, and it's that balance between, we still want it to be constantly innovating and changing, and how can we still innovate and change in a sustainable way to make those improvements. And I really think that's about collaborating all together.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've made some big waves so far, but yeah, we can certainly continue to do more. Lucia and Emma, on each of your ranges, have you got advice for recycling or trying to recycle your products? Lucia, do you want to go first?
Yeah. So because customers always need ideas, we, regularly launch ideas on how to recycle our glass bottles. So, for example, we use solid glass with a thick base, so they can be used once you remove the label as little vases for flowers, or like for aromatherapy. So, you put inside like wooden sticks with almond oil, maybe like a couple of drops of your favorite essential oil. And so, it's like we are giving ideas to the customer, and we encourage, and also like we encourage them to share pictures on what they're doing with our recycled jars. I think customers now are much more responsive, and they're also looking at the how to reuse what they have. So if you provide, I think, nice jars, it's an incentive for them to reuse them, or at least to remember that they can recycle, because glass, it can be recycled like millions of times, and it's clean and it's odorless. So yeah, I think that's a very important point, because sometimes customers are busy, but if you put in there a nice picture, because an image can say much more than 100 words. It's a nice way to say, you can do this. And so, it's just one image, and it's like doing something good for them, because it's pleasant to look at, and also something useful for the planet.
Yeah, and you have beautiful packaging, and I've seen a lot of customers sharing on your social media what they've done, how they've upcycled their packaging, which is really nice to see. Yeah. Emma, how about you? Any advice for, I know pipettes are always a difficult one, and you feature pipettes. Maybe talk about that, and any other tips that you've got.
Yeah, so first of all, the pipettes can be dismantled entirely down to, so there are 3 different components within a pipette, and 2 of those can be recycled. We use essentially the same bottles as reed diffusers, so they can be upcycled for reed diffuser bottles, and all of our samples, we have little 2 ml sample sizes, they're all glass as well, and are perfect for refilling and travelling on the go. We have 10 mils as well, so that you can refill and travel on the go. All of our card that we use, so our outer packaging boxes, they are not laminated, so a lot of card boxes out there will be a plastic laminate on top, so you think that is recyclable, but that's actually not. We don't put that laminate on our packaging, so that can be entirely recycled as well. But yeah, if there are any ideas out there, would love people to share them. and see what ideas people have on how they upcycle their packaging, whether it's for True Skincare or any other brand. It would be great to hear and see pictures.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we can get really inventive because you do go through a lot of packaging. I know quite a lot of beauty bloggers are like, this month's empties, and there's so many. I know, you might not use as many a month as a blogger, but yeah, it does certainly mount up as you go throughout the year. So yeah, I think we're going to jump to a few more audience questions now, and then we're going to look to the future just before we finish off. So let me just go back up here. Are there any containers that people would think are recyclable but aren't? Does anyone have one on that? Emma, were you jumping there to do it?
I was going to let Lucia go ahead. She looked ready to go. But I think that one of the things is black plastic, which I think there's been a lot of press around that. Unfortunately, a couple of years ago, maybe last year, Unilever created a machine which can now divide out black plastic. But traditionally, machines that kind of separate out plastic can't detect black plastic. So that means that it can be recycled. So Unilever are now allowing, licensing that out. But that's definitely one to look out for.
Great. Lucia, did you have a different answer that you want to share?
No, just that, sometimes now I see brands that they do big advertisement on, alternative plastic, like made with corn or made with other vegetable substances that in theory they're okay. In practice, first of all, you don't know how to recycle it. You don't know if you need to put it on the plastic because it looks like plastic. And also you don't know if it's non-differentiated, like the dry waste. And then how long does it take to decompose? No?
Yeah.
So I would say before you buy anything, if you are environmentally cautious, just check with the brand. Generally on the first page of the brand, they explain what material they use, or maybe the about page as well. And ensure that you know where the container is going to be recycled and if it is going to be recycled, or which parts of the packaging is recyclable.
Yeah, I think
because it can be tricky and confusing for the consumer, no? Because they look all the same.
Definitely.
Somebody says, it's more friendly, so okay, tell me why. So ask your brands why and how to recycle.
Yeah, I think on our website, all of our products are listed with the sustainable credentials on them. So we try to give as much information as possible. But there's certainly a few things I've learnt tonight to how to upcycle. So we'll add that on as well to encourage people to do that too. And then one for Fiona. This is one we get asked quite a lot. And I know that sometimes the explanation is a bit tricky for some brands, but I'm sure you're going to smash it, which is what percentage of organic ingredients are needed to be certified organic, and how is it calculated?
Well, this varies from a skincare product to a wash-off product, so the percentage is different and how it's calculated. And I think that it is 20%. But look, I can see the faces, like Emma and Lucia know the answers to this.
It's fine. You're very new to the Soil Association, so but yeah, it's 20% for a wash-off product, but then there's more elements to it as well. Do you want to carry on, Fiona, or to move it to...
No, I'm happy to sub in.
Perfect. Emma, do you want to take this one? I know you've given a really great explanation of this before. Oh, you're arguing over it now.
No, I don't know whether Alicia wanted to jump in there again. I feel like I'm so it's down to whether it's agro ingredients or not. So over 90% of the ingredients have to be agro ingredients. That means that they're grown, and that's basically across the board. The Soil Association has something called MIPS, and basically you have to enter in exactly what percentage of every ingredient is agro or chemical processed, and then that is basically what determines your overall percentage as a Soil Association certified brand. So yeah, for example, our facial oils are all 100% organic, but our exfoliator, for example, contains kaolin, which is a mineral. It's a white clay, so that isn't physically grown.
So it's not an agro ingredient then?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, exactly. And that's often why brands that contain water struggle to become certified. So yeah. But I'm sure Lucia has some more details on that.
80% water in the formulation, it's going to be pretty tricky to get the rest of those agro ingredients in there. Lucia, do you want to add anything on to that?
Yeah, no, just to say that obviously when you buy products which are not emulsion and they don't contain water, unless it is like a toner, which is made with, I don't know, 100% floral water, and in that case, yes, it's 100% floral water, maybe 99 plus some preservative, which is approved. But generally speaking, is at least 95% of organic certified ingredients and 100% absolutely natural. Okay, so the 100% absolutely natural is on everything, and then the rest is, preferably 95 and over. So, for example, an oil can be between 99 and 100% because you have all the oils plus the vitamin E. And when it's a wash-off product, it can be like 20% organic. That's because maybe, I don't know, if you do liquid soap, you will have water, you will have surfactants, and then you will have some nice, good extracts, which will be just maybe 5, 10, maximum 15%. So, in the case, yeah, you buy something that's watery, so it's maybe a bit less value, but yeah, it should be at least 15-20%. So it's very important that you always check the labels and you always ensure that what you're buying is value for you and for your skin.
Yeah, I think I'll put a little link to the comment in the comments to a blog that we wrote about organic certification, because it outlines exactly from the the certification documents the definition. So I know we've talked about lots of different percentages and it can get a bit confusing. So we'll put that in and hopefully that'll help you to refer back to that in case you need to for anything else in the future. But we do get asked it a lot. And then last question from our audience, then we'll talk big picture just before we finish. One, Faith says again, my understanding is the Soil Association is not pesticide free, but it just uses fewer pesticides than conventional farming. Is that the case? Fiona, do you want to take that? Because I think it's no artificial pesticides and herbicides, isn't it now?
Yeah, I think it is. But again, I guess because we're almost running out of time, we can send a link to that to the person who asked the question with the full details.
Yeah, I think it is no synthetics or artificial, but yeah, we'll add a link to that as well. Let's just do one last question to each of you. How do you think the organic standards are going to evolve in terms of sustainability? We also had a question right at the beginning, how is it going to change with Brexit? So Emma, what do you think the future is for organic and sustainability?
So at present, I mentioned earlier that there's basically no global legislation when it comes to making natural and organic beauty claims. So you can have 0.5% organic ingredients and still say the product's organic, or you can have 2 ingredients in the INCI listing which are 100% natural, the rest could be chemicals, and then you can still say contains 100% natural ingredients because those 2 ingredients are 100% natural. They're obviously certification bodies like the Soil Association to Cosmos standards, which are kind of global standards really allow us to communicate to the customers that what we're saying is true.